You're listening to Dramas Over Flowers. This is the year-end yak with Saya, Anisa, and Paroma. Hi, I'm Paroma. A decade just ended, and this podcast completed 29 months on air. So, before we start this very special episode where we look back on the highs and lows of 2019, we want to thank our listeners. Many of you have been with us since the very beginning, but a lot of you have just found us in the last year. We're a small podcast, but we like to think of ourselves as living the actual fandom dream, fostering a community of people who love dramas and analysis as much as we do. So, thank you for sticking with us, for leaving reviews, for commenting on SoundCloud, on posts on Drama Beans, on YouTube, for writing emails to us that brighten our day, and for engaging with us on Twitter. You have kept this podcast alive. We hope 2020 kicks ass for all of you. Now, as always, if you want to keep helping us grow, please share our episodes, talk about the podcast to friends who love dramas, leave a review on iTunes or whichever podcast app you use. You can also check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/dramasoverflowers and help keep our lights on starting with $1 a month. Finally, you can tweet at us at dramasoverflow or email us at dramasoverflowers@gmail.com. Alright then, let's get this episode started.
Hi everyone, this is Saya.
This is Anisa.
And this is Paroma.
And it's the year-end yak! So exciting.
2019! Yay!
Yeah.
Just in case you didn't know which year was ending.
Exactly.
The year is ending. The decade is ending.
Yeah.
And you realise that if you that people who are born in 1990 are going to be 30 next year.
Thanks, Saya. That's really helpful.
I have joined the 30s this year. I am like adult now.
Yay!
I've honestly not felt this adult till last year. And suddenly this year I'm like, just something shifted and I'm starting to feel more adult now. So it's, yeah.
I feel you. I think it was like when I went to grad school and I was like in classes with people who just came out of undergrad and I was like, wow, I feel
They're small.
yeah. And then I started taking Korean with actual undergrads. Oh my god, guys. This semester, I was taking 305, which is like the first half of third year Korean. And there's a kid in my class who was born in like 2001. And I was just like,
What?
No! That's not right!
I was like, how are you in college? What is happening to me?
2001 was like when we were in college, right? Okay, not quite, but nearly.
No, I was in high school, but
I was in middle school, but I still get your point.
yeah, it was a little shocking for me. But so anyway, Speaking of women in their 30s, I think this is a really great segue to what we're going to talk about next, which is our top 3 dramas of 2019. So we all chose 3 dramas that we loved the most. I don't think we ranked them because I personally feel like it's too hard to rank them.
Yeah, it's too subjective.
I'll talk about our top 3 dramas of the year. And then we're going to do some fun Dramas Over Flowers awards. And we decided not to go with like the regular, best actor, best overall drama, best actress. Those, I feel like there's been a lot of really good dramas. Like we agreed on this that like, and Paroma was the one who first brought this up, that like it'll be kind of a shame to just pick one for each category. So we're not doing those categories. Instead, we're doing like more fun categories. So stay tuned for that. But first, we're going to talk about our top 3 of the year. So, Paroma, do you want to start us off?
We can try doing like a duet because like our lists are identical.
They are identical.
They are creepy twins.
It was so weird. The closer that we got to the end of the year, I was like, oh, I feel like we've had the same favorite dramas, but then they ended up being the exact same. So the first on our list, it's in no particular order because, like we said, we didn't want to rank these because we are equally fond of these for different reasons. Anisa, what's the first one on our list? The first one is Search WWW. We've talked about this one a lot already.
Oh my god, so much.
At length and depth.
Yes.
Yes.
In multiple episodes. Yeah.
We have a special spoiled yak out on Search WWW as well. If you want to hear us just like go on and on about this drama, but I just wanted to say that this stunned me a bit with how different it was, and how much I needed this drama. And I love it as a whole and in its individual parts. I love how overly dramatic it was in some ways and how nuanced it was. It was a full experience for me. And it's one of those dramas of the year that you don't forget. This is that drama for me. I mean, there is one more on the list, but this is like this for me is the drama that I'm going to remember 2019 for.
Yeah, I think I agree with pretty much all of that. And I think the other thing is that this is one of the shows, and I think all of the shows on this list are kind of that for me, but this one especially really represents like the way that dramas have changed since I started watching them in 10 years ago now in 2009. Like I think the journeys that female characters are allowed to take have really come a long way, and this year really encapsulated that for me. So I love this for all the reasons that we've already talked about and all the reasons that we're going to continue to talk about. I just really love this show.
Okay, the second one on our list is Mellow is My Nature, which, anybody who's been listening to our yaks would know how almost grateful we were for this amazing meta piece of commentary on Korean dramas filled with really amazing women with really fleshed out stories, like backstories that were poignant and funny and individual and in no way stereotypical. So it's another story that 2019 is going to be remembered for. So yeah, I'm completely in love with that entire drama.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really sticks out to me, apart from the meta aspect and how beautifully fleshed out all the journeys of the characters were, is that it just had that really lived in. And I think Search also has this feeling. It just has this really lived in feeling of like people that you could imagine actually exist out there, and you could know them, and they're just so real, even like with all their warts and their flaws and their weaknesses, but you love them anyway. And like I think that really is encapsulated, especially in the main romance, which I just loved to pieces. It was very unusual. It was very funny. It was very, I just loved it.
It was heartwarming overall, but the level of dry humor on this drama was very dry.
I know, but I loved it, so I didn't care. It was great.
It was amazing. But like random people on the street were like giving shade. It was just amazing.
But honestly, I also just feel like that's 2019. Like everyone is on Twitter making jokes. You know what I mean? Like everyone is mocking everything because we're all like in existential dread about the world.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to survive
Yeah. And it was very relatable for me, I feel.
Yeah, it's like introspection gone mad.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, the final one on our list.
Can I do this one?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so this is not my list, it's your list, but the reason it's not on my list is because it's on your list. So I'm like, both of you have it. That means I can put something else on my list. So your number 3 is Rookie Historian, Goguma Awards, which is me cheating, basically. I love this drama to bits. It was so good.
Man, it was amazing.
Again, it was one of those revolutionary ones. I think that's probably what all of these three have in common. Your three have in common is that they have these revolutionary women. Like, they shouldn't be revolutionary, but it's revolutionary to see them on the screen like that. Like, it validates their permission to exist. Like, you are allowed to exist like this.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that.
It's storytelling from the perspective of a woman, but the voice is that of a woman. This isn't how men imagine women think. That's not what any of these stories are. So with Shin Se-kyung was so. I have seen her before in other dramas, but she's kind of like blended into the story. She didn't stand out, but she was so mesmerizing here as the protagonist. It's so clear that she is the protagonist driving the story forward, and she is actively acting. It's her actions that are driving many of the plots forward, and it just I couldn't. And also, I know that. The prince he didn't get universal love, but I kind of thought he was the perfect foil for Shin Se-kyung's character.
Like, what really, like, this was the drama where I was watching it and I was like a light bulb went off and it's like, this is a hero's journey given to the heroine. And so
Yeah.
when you realize that it's flipped it all, then you're like, well, the prince is actually the princess. That's the
He's
classic.
Rapunzel, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
He's the princess in the tower. And
Yeah,
she's
that's exactly
the hero.
what and he's like, you know, sitting at home, like, you know, waiting
dreaming
for
about their married life.
yeah, and waiting for his
about, right?
heroine to come. And when you realize that the inversion is like, it's deliberate and it's meant to be like that, then your expectations of what kind of character he's meant to be like totally flip as well. And it's like, it's nice to actually see a male character like that.
Agreed.
Good drama. And now.
Right.
And now.
And now.
Does that mean I get to take your first one?
Yes.
Oh, really? I was just joking. Okay. Okay. The first one on Saya's list is My Strange Hero, which, much like Rookie Historian, this was just like barely didn't make the cut. I loved it a lot. So I'm glad that you have it on your list. I actually knew you would have it on your list, which made me feel like I could leave it off. So.
I almost didn't. And then I was like, no, like I was trying to choose between this and Rookie. It's like, you cannot make me cut this from the list. Everything else may go, but this will not.
Yeah. So what did you love about it?
Everything. That was the short answer. The long answer.
I guess you're done then.
Everything. Do you know, I think my favorite thing, and it wasn't just this drama, I think after this there were one or two as well, is just having that dim male hero. I just love the dim hero. Like, he's dumb and he owns it, and I mean, not dumb, but you know what I mean. He doesn't have to be a genius. He doesn't have to know everything, and he makes these like hilarious mistakes all the time, which they are played for laughs, but they are funny. And then there's all of his little, his quotes, which are just like slightly off. And they're just so good. And then there was the whole wildflowers thing. And I was like, basically by the end, I was calling this drama like Buksu and the Wildflowers. And just watching it with hearts in my eyes and my hands clasped on my chest. And yeah, it was, because you finished it really recently, right?
Yeah, so I watched the first half when it was airing, and then I just got really busy with school, and then I got to like the end of the year, and I was like, oh no, I have to finish this before the year ends. So I just like watched the whole second half pretty much in 1 or 2 sittings, and it was so, like, I loved his individual story, but the whole journey that the students took together, and that, you know, the teacher took, and like the villain's journey, played by Kwak Dong-yeon. His whole arc was really interesting, and like the three of them, and the, you know, the history and the trauma, and it was just so well done. Everything about it was really well done. They all
got to be heroes of their own story as well, which I thought the drama handled really well. Like, it didn't detract from anyone else's story. They all had their time. And then, like, my favorite bit, one of my favorite bits is right at the very end, because I really wanted to talk about this at the time, but neither of you had watched it. You know when he graduates and he like throws himself into his mum's arms and he goes, "Oh, ma!" Just love that part so much.
Oh my God.
It's like, you gotta love a kid who loves his mum. That's a heart stealer for me.
Yeah, their family dynamic was also great. It was really funny and really heartwarming.
I know it's gonna be a bit controversial, Saya, but I told you at the time, right? Like, I really liked Yoo Seung-ho so much in this drama. I had not felt this way about him during
I'm Not a Robot.
Yeah, and I didn't quite get your fascination with him back then, but I kind of do after My Strange Hero. I mean, he saved the entire drama for me.
I do think this is his best performance of his career. I do think it's the best thing he's done.
I think he should just do comedy for the rest of his life. Stop
he's
hurting
so funny. He's so funny.
But you know, he's never had a chance to be funny until now, so it's like, maybe he just really needs to do this for the rest of his life.
Yeah, because they've just had him doing like crying and being in melodrama since he was like 4. So it's just I feel for the poor kid.
Anyone can cry, but not everyone has that kind of comedic timing and delivery.
Exactly.
And it's just, so good. I guess we should move on.
Yes. Yes, we'll have to, unfortunately.
So my next two, I'm going to talk about them together because I feel like they occupy the same wheelhouse, and it's going to come as no surprise to anyone who's been listening to us because I think I've said for both of them that they are my top dramas of the year. So Watcher and Beautiful World, one of them being kind of dark thriller, the other one being like a suspensey melodrama, but both of them really kind of emotional and they leave you gasping and they're like intense and dense and like a magnum opus of like writing and intricacy and just everything about them. I've talked about both of them and written about Watcher at great length, so I probably don't need to say much more, but they were really hands down two of the best dramas of the year for me.
I'm definitely have Watcher on my list, especially because I love Kim Hyun-ju, and from what you've said, like it sounds like a really good performance from her. Yeah.
I mean,
So
everyone
definitely
is so
putting
good
that on
in
my list.
this, and just her character is. We'll talk about that later.
Yes. So honorable mentions. Paroma, do you want to go first for honorable mentions?
Yeah, I have two. So Romance is a bonus work. Like at the beginning of the year, when I watched that, I was pretty much convinced that that was going to be one of my top three. I did not expect Search, Mellow, or Rookie, but those happened.
Had a good year.
The only thing I want to say about Romance is that whether it was a setting in the book in the world of publishing and how much love the drama gave books in general, writing, the craft of it, how hard it is, how difficult it is to get published, the dilemmas of the publishing world, all of that, or the romance, which I found really solid, even though it was not sizzling. We have had this conversation before. um, all of those things really worked for me, and yeah, it's like again another drama that I'm going to remember for a long time. I'm going to go back and rewatch it after a year, and I'm going to enjoy it just as much. So that's my honorable mention. And another drama that we don't have it on any of the other lists, any of the other categories that we're doing this year, so I just want to mention it right now, is Moment at 18, which is I think like a underappreciated gem this year. It was a teen school based drama. There was like a bit of a sort of a class war between the students, and it was also parents adjusting to letting their kids do what is best, like decide what's best for themselves, like those familiar story tropes that you see in high school dramas, but done with subtlety and really good dialogue and excellent chemistry between the cast. So yeah, it was a really good school based drama, and if you guys like those, then I definitely recommend it from 2019.
I didn't get around to it,
Yeah,
but I
me
wanted
neither.
to.
I watched so few dramas this year; it's embarrassing. But
I watched so
school
many;
has
it's
just been.
embarrassing.
Speaking of
Okay.
which, do you want to do your honorable mention, Saya?
You can go next if you like.
Okay, I actually have two. I forgot to put the second one on here. But my first one is. Well, I saw that Paroma did too, so I was like, I can do it too as well. So my first one is My Fellow Citizens, just because like there's no way that it was going on any of my like top three or anything. Like it wasn't. It's one of those where like maybe qualitatively it's not a perfect drama, but the enjoyable experience that I had watching it was so. I just really, really enjoyed everything about it. Like the journey of the hero, the romance between the two of them was really great. The villain was amazing. Like the music was. I just really, really enjoyed the performances and the themes. It was just a really satisfying show for me. And the second one is Sky Castle, which I really wish that I had finished because I have a feeling that if I had finished it, it would have been on my top three. And like, I feel like out of all the dramas that we've just talked about, it probably had the most cultural impact this year. And so I think it would be remiss of me to just ignore that, even though I didn't finish it. Probably because me and my mom and my sister were watching it together, and like we've all had very schedules that have not been matching up very well for the last few months. But I wanted to give that a shout out because it was amazing in every way, at least as much as I watched of it.
I like how when we were talking about how we were going to do this, we were like, oh no, not top fives. Let's just do top threes. And in the end, we will come with five. One way or another, it's five.
What you gonna do?
Oh, well. So my honorable mention is Hotel de Luna, which I watched very off schedule. I watched it quite recently. Like, we haven't even had a yak since I've watched it, so I haven't been able to talk about it. But, like, I watched this drama at, like, 1.2 to 1.4 speed, sometimes even more. So, like, if you were watching it at normal speed, I'm pretty sure I would have been really annoyed with it. But because I was able to sort of just keep going, it had lots of this, like, it was very bloated. Every episode was like an hour and a half, like a minimum hour and 15 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
And they just kept getting longer. And if I did not, like, if I could not have sped it up, I probably would have just been like, I would have gone crazy. But, because I was able to watch it at a decent speed, for some reason the drama just stayed with me. Like, you know, after it finished, I just carried on thinking about it, and I carried on having feelings about it, and yeah, it stayed with me, and that's why it's the last one on my list.
I would have probably included that on my list if you hadn't already had it out there. It definitely deserves a special mention. But here's the thing, I know it felt bloated, but I think that was kind of because you were watching them all together, but spread over weeks. The length actually didn't feel like much to me. Like, why I was watching it while it was airing and waiting for the next episodes and going through each of the episodes. Like, I was like spreading it over the entire week. It was kind of fun. I liked it. I liked the magical elements, the push and pull between IU and Yeo Jin-gu. I initially didn't enjoy Yeo Jin-gu so much, and then by episode 4, I was like, "Oh my god, this boy
He has
grown up."
arrived. I still remember that text. It's one of the best texts of the year.
Yeah. Same.
So we'll come back to this in a few categories later.
The other thing I wanted to say about this is, I think maybe like just in response to what you said, I've been a really impatient watcher this year because I'm like, you know, my time is limited, and I just want to know what happens. And I do like lingering on moments, but I felt like this one took a really long time on its moments. Like, it could have been half as long. You didn't need to stare at the tree for 5 minutes. You could have done it for one. You know,
They stare a lot at that tree.
they do, and it's like, you don't need this.
Yeah, I felt this way about Goblin. Like, it was amazing, but every episode could have been 30% shorter,
Right.
just from like people not staring into the distance with like moony eyes, you know, for like just
Or
reducing that a
replaying
few
that one
moments.
scene where you have Kim Go-eun skipping on the, what's it called? They replayed that so many times.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I didn't mind too much because the music was so gorgeous that I was like, oh, I'm
Exactly.
watching the music video now, but, you know.
But I think, you know what, it's part of the whole high production value thing. Everything looks so beautiful. They get a bit self-indulgent with the footage. They're like, well, we need to keep everything this episode. We can't cut it.
I agree.
That did come to mind a lot as I was watching Hotel de Luna. It felt like it was like following in the footsteps of Goblin, but I felt like with Goblin there was something more epic and more grand about it. Whereas the story of Hotel de Luna, it was like epic, but it felt more personal and more kind of, I don't know, close.
No, I
mean-
kind of understand what you're saying, and I wanted to touch on that, and I kept forgetting to bring it up. Is the primary difference between Goblin and Deluna to me is that in Deluna, IU, as ancient as she is sort of like limited to the hotel. Like, she goes about and stuff, but it's like
Right,
her
the
life.
scope
It's
is
like
smaller,
compressed.
right?
Exactly, the scope has been compressed to the limits of the hotel. Whereas with Gongyu, he felt like they were going from Canada to back to Seoul. They were going back to like 800 years back. They were showing like how generation after generation he had been looked after this family. It felt like he was, time and space kind of expanded around him, so everything felt more epic.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Agreed.
which you know, like, the cynical part of me thinks the girl gets like put in a box, whereas the guy gets like the any place in universe thing. But maybe it's
Well,
not.
they're two
it's
different
I'm probably
stories.
overthinking. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know, I mean, when you envision an ancient being, she could have been placing her hotel anywhere in the world. She could have been going all over the place, right? She can move her real estate. It's not like it's fixed in
Not
one place.
easily.
But
I agree with you, but also to get a little bit meta, like Kim Un-suk has the power to make a drama where like they go to Canada and film in like a really fancy hotel in Montreal. Whereas
True.
I don't know that the Hong sisters have that much clout, especially now. They're not as big as they used to be.
Yeah.
So I think that's also
That
just like a
and-
meta reason.
Hotel de Luna was a IU story. I mean, more than it was Yeo Jin-gu's, I think. So that was like, it was centered on the heroine, whereas Goblin
not that I
was
was
centered on the
disappointed
hero.
with the scope of Hotel de Luna at all. I think within the parameters of what they're established about the world, I think they did an excellent job of like exploring every element, every facet of her life. I enjoyed her backstory as much as I enjoyed watching what was going to happen, like where she was going.
Controversial opinion, maybe, but I thought the ending was absolutely perfect.
You know, in retrospect, I agree.
But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, should
Okay,
we
now
move
moving
on
to
to
the fun
our
stuff?
Yeah. So this is in our doc. I called them the first annual Dramas Over Flowers Awards. Maybe that's ambitious, but I think it would be fun for us to do this every year.
No, you called it the first annual Goguma Awards, which I really think is more appropriate.
Yes, because
that was
our
what I
yak
wanted
has
in
a
my
name.
heart, but then I crossed it out.
So Goguma is the
no.
name of our yak, and it means
Yeah.
sweet potato.
Yes.
So these are really the sweet potato awards.
Yeah. All right, so let's get going with the Goguma Awards then.
Yeah.
As we explained before, we're not really doing the best directing, best acting, all those. I think we've all pretty much talked about the dramas where we felt those were represented. So we're going to start with...
So the first one in our Goguma Award categories is Best Concept in Speculative Fiction or Fantasy. And we have 4 major contenders here. We have Hotel de Luna, of course. We have Astral Chronicles. We have Extraordinary You. And we have Memories of the Alhambra. Now, the way this category works is that we are focusing solely on the concept and how blown away we were initially when we started watching the dramas, and how, I mean, we are not talking about the overall execution because, of course, I mean, K-drama generally has a second half curse when it comes to execution, but how good the idea was. And I think our contenders here are all like pretty high concept. So, Sarah, you want to take the winner?
Well, I'm gonna sort of, as a precursor to the winner, I just want to say that I wanted to vote for Extraordinary You because I love the concept, but the execution didn't. It left a lot to be desired. So in the end, but I think we both agreed that it has to be Memories of the Alhambra. That the whole concept was amazing, but also the execution was like the story didn't quite go as it ought to have, but the way they showed us that entire world was amazing. Absolutely blown away, and it was like so exciting week to week. And like who came up with that?
Who did the first 8 episodes, like while we still thought that the writer had a grasp on how to end this thing properly?
Why didn't you guys watch W though?
Yeah, the thing is, we watched all of them and we should have known.
The more fool us.
Remind me the writer's name. I can't remember her name.
How did we forget our mortal enemy?
Song Jae-jung.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, Song Jae-jung, really, we need to go into these more warily, because that's like 3 or 4 dramas in a row that have her concepts are so good, like they're amazing, but like that sort of the failure to land at the end is just
is heartbreaking almost. Yeah. Because we got so invested in Memories of the Alhambra. And Memories of the Alhambra, mind you, had started in December 2018, I think, and it ended early 2019. Mm-hmm. So really, a lot of people had included this one in last year's list. But it's only, once a drama ends that you can have an idea of the full scope of the drama. So we wanted it to be part of this year. And yeah, it kind of started like that. I thought this was an amazing start of 2019. What a concept to start on. And then it kind of was like
And then it
fizzled
went to
out.
pants.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you can
okay,
refer back to the drama where we rant about that, or where
Yep,
Saya
yep.
and Paroma rant about that. How pants it was.
I think I had a ragey rant, didn't I?
yeah, we
Yeah.
did. We kind of lost our heads for a bit. But let's not do that. We are complimenting it for
Yes, it was
having
amazing.
a really,
Absolutely. I think it's worth watching, even if you only watch the first half, just to see how they did that. It's like it's spectacular, the likes of which I've never seen in any other drama until now.
yeah.
Hmm.
And just a few words on the others. Hotel Del Luna, I hope they do more ancient female protagonist dramas in the future, because IU just killed it, and
Oh
I
man, she
want to
did.
see this done again, please. Arthdal Chronicles again started off so good. I really enjoyed it initially. I know there were a lot of controversies and justified criticisms of the series, but it's yeah, like I genuinely enjoyed where they were, at least in the beginning, what they were trying to do with it. Extraordinary You, I don't think I'm as disappointed with the execution as the two of you are, even though I have a lot of criticisms. But I'm so grateful this drama exists. It just it began exploring these old tropes that we make fun of often during our reviews and criticisms, but they kind of used it to propel the story forward. What happens if these tropes are like sort of chains on the characters and the characters want to break free? And I
Yeah.
loved it.
No,
It was
I
such a good
definitely agree that
question.
the concept was great. I don't think I wasn't upset, but it was like a little bit of that feeling of wasted potential for me, just
Yeah,
because I felt like it didn't go far enough.
agreed. They have
Yeah.
asked an excellent question, but they kind of forgot to answer it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So our next category is best music. So the winner that we had, that Paroma and I both voted for, was Sky Castle. I think one of the things about this drama that's so amazing is the directing. And so the way the music worked with that, when you would get to, like every episode kind of had this like arc within the larger story, and you would get to you would start getting to like the end of the episode, and you would always go into this like very intense, unbelievable cliffhanger where you're just like yelling at the screen, and then the music would come in, and just like that song that would play at the end. I don't know what it's called, but it's like an amazing song. It's one of my favorite songs of the decade, honestly. And just like the way the score worked throughout, like it was perfectly done, in my opinion.
We'll link it below.
Yes, we'll link to the song. And Saya's vote for this was Watcher, which neither of us has seen, so I want
But
to
everything
ask
you
to
said
just
about
mention
Sky
it.
Castle applies
Okay.
to Watcher, and like the it's like the atmosphere that the music created just was, it all worked so well together. And like the 3 or 4 songs from the OST, and they're just, I love all of them, and they all make me feel feelings every time I go back to them. And yeah, good ones.
Yeah. I know. I just wanted to mention My Fellow Citizens because there's one song in that soundtrack, and it plays
Is it
during
Uppa
no. Not that one. Although like the other songs were really funny and they worked so well. But there's this one song, but it plays during this like climactic moment for his character, for Tishuan's character, where he like has to make a big decision. And he's on the phone with the former assemblyman, and they have this like really intense conversation, and that song just plays, and it's just so emotional, and it's so good, and it's so, yeah. Anyway, I just love that song. Yeah.
Our next category is the best comedy, and our contenders were My Fellow Citizens, Sky Castle, which I think is Anissa's entry, right? Because she appended that with a weirdly. Sky Castle.
I mean, it's not, yeah, because it's not the genre of comedy, but it's so funny.
And our winner is, of course, My Strange Hero. I feel like that we've covered everything we wanted to say about My Strange Hero earlier, including all of the humor. But yeah, this was great.
Yeah. And it was a unanimous vote from the 3 of us. So.
And very little of this list is unanimous.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, on Sky Castle, the genre is definitely like melodrama, thriller, maybe even you could call it a family drama, but it's not a comedy. But on the other hand, it is a satire, and so it's really,
It's
really
pretty
funny.
black, right?
Yeah, it's black comedy, but it's just the best of that kind of humor. I will talk more about this later because I have a character that I want to talk about from
Oh,
that
okay.
drama.
And the next category is best romance, which is a bit of a mess because I don't think we had a standout romance this year. We did agree on one finally, but we had several contenders. So, of course, Mellow is My Nature. We had Romance is a bonus book. This is a late entry. I was like a bit conflicted about it, but Her Private Life. Hotel del Luna, and My Fellow Citizens, which I haven't watched, and I didn't realize there was a strong romance in it, but apparently
Oh,
there
it's a
is,
really
so
good
I have to watch
romance.
it.
I think its romance was probably its strongest point. Maybe not the romance, but the relationship. It was the best relationship, I would say.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that especially the beginning, it's not a spoiler to say that the leads are married. The beginning part where they meet and fall in love and get married is like the best, like condensed montage of a love story that I've ever seen in my life, probably. It's
And you
so
really
good.
feel it. It's like,
Yes.
it's really condensed, but you really feel it.
Yes.
And then for everything that happens afterwards.
Yeah, and it really sets that foundation where like you can totally believe even when they're in a really rocky part of their relationship that they really love each other and that they want to make their marriage work.
Plus, it's Choi Siwon and Lee Young. How is that not going to be amazing?
It was amazing.
But
But,
unfortunately,
yeah.
but the winner is Hotel del Luna because, like we said, we didn't really have a standout romance this year. But I think Yeo Jin-gu, I mean, come on, IU and Yeo Jin-gu, that was an unexpectedly amazing pairing. And I thought their romance was deep, and that kind of got you rooting for the story for much longer than any of the other elements would
Yeah, I
have.
feel like what we're
Kind
saying
of.
when we're saying best romance is we're saying best relationship, right?
Yeah, best relationship.
Because
Absolutely.
I mean, I
Yeah.
actually voted for Hotel de Luna as well, though it does not sound like I did, but I did. And again, I'm gonna just go like one more callback to your text, the Yeo Jin-gu has arrived text. This really, it's like it was. This is the role where he really, I saw him as a romantic hero. And I haven't seen that in him before. Like the same way that like I'm Not a Robot was for Yu Singer, I feel like Hotel de Luna is for Yeo Jin-gu. So because these young actors and you've seen them since childhood, and and you're waiting for that point where you can believe them as grown men.
So what you're saying
Yeah.
is he finally caught up with his voice.
Yes.
Okay.
I
Aww.
catch up with his voice. I mean, you guys remember that video where like Kim Min Jae talks about Yeo Jin-gu, and he's like, I'm at like basement like 10 level, and he's like, 20.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Hyung. That's one of my favorite videos. I love that.
It is very good.
Yeah.
And my vote was for Mellow's My Nature. I actually didn't watch Hotel de Luna, so I don't have an opinion about it. But I just really loved the equality and the quirkiness and the sort of like the interesting way that they became colleagues and then friends and then they fell in love with each other in a really organic and natural way, but they never lost that sort of the way they like just poked at each other, and so they continued to poke at each other, but then it was like with love instead of being like, who is this weirdo that I've ended up working with kind of thing. But it just felt like such a real relationship and I loved it all the way through.
I kind of split my vote, but unofficially, because I know you guys weren't like you were disillusioned by the end of Her Private Life, but Her Private Life for me was just like I finished that drama and I was like, this is why I'm ruined for real life because of
Right?
this,
Oh my god.
because of damn Kim Jae-wook, and like why are you like this? And like it was just such a mature relationship, and it was so like ruined. Thanks,
I agree with
No,
Dramaland.
I agree. Which is why I had to put it back on the list because it's just, I mean, I think Look, for me, I don't think the ending was as bad as it was for Anissa, but it did disappoint me for some things, but mostly because they were just they what they just it was unnecessary. The some of the strings they were pulling in the end, but the relationship itself, from the inception to them getting together and then carrying on
Mm.
together, I really liked how openly they communicated, how well they understood each other, but also just Ryan Goldman. He's such a hard act to
Such
follow. I
a
can't. He's
Yeah.
empathetic. He was open to being corrected. He was willing to question his own prejudices.
He's like the
I'm
modern
sorry,
man,
but
right? Like in capitals.
he, he's he's a female fantasy,
Yeah,
Yeah, what
basically.
we
he's
wish
just, I
the
mean,
modern man would be, but is
Yeah.
not.
This is why we're ruined. We do it to ourselves.
Exactly.
oh my god, yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I love the relationship, and I guess it would be a lie to say there are no standout couples. For me, these two are the standout couple.
I think
Yeah.
that also had this additional like crackling layer of like these two. We were so excited to see them. We were so excited to see Kim Jae-wook finally in a rom-com as a romantic lead. Like there was a lot,
Yeah.
and a lot of the, especially in the beginning, it was such a fulfillment of all of those expectations, and it went even beyond the
Yeah.
expectations. And I think part of the reason that I'm like so angry is because I was so happy in the beginning. So I think it's a little unfair, maybe, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think the more you love something at the beginning and when it lets you down at the end, then you hate it more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
And as a last shout out, Romance is a bonus book. It was a lovely relationship, not just the main pairing, but the other relationships in this show. There was this older couple who were getting separated in the background, and I really enjoyed their relationship. It's just that entire book is about relationships. Oh, sorry,
Drama. You did
drama
this book
is
yourself.
about. I did. That entire drama is about relationships, and I just love it. It's like the warmest, sweetest thing.
Yes,
So yeah.
agreed. The next one is best character. And like we could not come to an agreement on this one, so maybe we should all just say ours.
We were just like, let's keep them all. I couldn't even agree with
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, we've clearly failed at voting, as you can see from the last two categories.
Democracy doesn't work with too small a sample size.
Yeah.
So, on my list is, well, of course, it's Herang. I mean, come on, from Rookie Historian. I don't know what to say about Go Herang. She is magnificent as the hero of her own odyssey, so to speak. And her as a scholar, learning the ethics of scholarly behavior, but like also balancing it with her own morals, her discovering that she likes someone and being very bold and forward about those feelings, just being frank, not even forward, frank about those feelings, and just having that being shown in a very positive way by the show. Just everything about her voice. Okay, Shin Se-kyung, I never realized, but whenever she did her monologues, I would just listen. I would be mesmerized. Her voice is amazing for monologues. Just yeah, she was the best character who gave the best monologues.
Just a perfect saga tone.
Yeah.
Um
And she doesn't die in this one. Yay! So that was
Finally,
great.
yeah.
I was gutted by the last
No,
Sagi she was
don't tell
in.
me I haven't watched
This is
it yet.
oh,
my
so
god, did you
sorry.
just no?
I'm not mentioning it. I didn't say the name.
She is, yeah, there's multiple ones, so
I
you
know
don't.
which one it is.
Oh,
You can't possibly.
okay. Okay, so my favorite character, although I really love Hae-young as well, is Seung-hae, who's played by Yoon Se-ah in Sky Castle. She's the mom of the twins, with like the really terrible lawyer husband who is like a dictator, and he forces his sons to study like crazy. Oh, they also have a daughter, but she comes into the story later. But anyway, like her character is such a perfect encapsulation of like a woman who is kind of trapped in this marriage that is not like her husband is not a good person, but she is like so committed to her family. She's so committed to her kids. But then like she is so like on the surface, she's like the most refined, polite, like, you know, elegant, kind of soft spoken. But then like the way that she throws shade in the most like subtle, hilarious, and like she just like ends the argument right there, and like no one can say anything. Like her facial expressions are the best. Like this woman's facial expressions are genius on a genius level. So that she was definitely my favorite character of that drama, my favorite character of the year. I love her so much. Like I love her as an actress, but I think this is the best thing I've ever seen her in.
Hey guys, I made a late entry because I don't know what I was thinking. Ida is obviously like one of my favorites. So I don't. I
Yeah,
just
I
put
was
her in
surprised. I
like at
was
the
like, why
bottom.
isn't she in your list? And then that was
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. I felt like we've talked about her so much already that I wanted to.
Yeah, but not on this list. No, nowhere here.
That's true.
I want to mention her.
Yes, no, I agree. We should mention her.
I was surprised that Hae-young was Burma's favorite rather than Lee Jae-hee.
Me too, honestly.
I think it's mostly because Hae-young was like more fleshed out. Ida he was adorable and amazing and a standout, but like she was less fleshed out. Like we didn't know all dimensions of her life, though we did Hae-young.
That's true. And she was more of a secondary character. So we
Mm,
didn't. I mean, we got a good portion of her, especially once her romantic storyline started with Lee Jae-wook. But
yeah.
I think for me, as a character, I loved her, but what really stood out for me was her performance. Like, Idahi's performance is what really
Mm,
made the character shine the most for me. I think
yeah.
another actress wouldn't have made that character as lovable and as just sparkly and adorable and like everything that she was. And so, like, if we had done Best Supporting Actress, I feel like she would have won that hands down.
And you know what really struck me about her that I love? She's so solid as a friend. Like she's the one I would want as a backup in any situation, and I know she would support me unquestioned because that's who she is. Like once she gives you your loyalty, it's her loyalty that is like for life.
Yeah,
So yeah, I that's just my God, you don't see that enough in female characters, and I just yeah loved her.
100%. Sai, are you ready to do
I'm
yours?
ready. So
Go for it.
I was rather torn because there were so many good characters this year, but it came down to two, and I choose them both. So on the one hand, in Watcher, Kim Hyun-ju as Han Tae-ju, she was amazing. It was like the whole drama was really, really like blew me away. But her as a character, that's one I'm gonna remember for like the next 10 years. She was just she was so broken, and you could tell that she didn't believe she deserved anything good. And she didn't believe that she was capable of anything good. And like the drama is like she's really revenge focused. The whole her entire character trajectory is like revenge. She needs revenge. That she lives for that. And the reason that she needs that revenge is just so she can sleep at night. Of course, Poksu, because, you know, Yusuno and Meister Interior and everything about that drama. And he's like he is the drama. Like without him the drama just would not. Everyone was great in the drama, but if he wasn't in it, they would not have been great. And oh, both of my characters are revenge characters. That's fun. So also my second one, which the one I split my vote with, is a Han Tae-ju from Watcher. She was played by Kim Hyun-ju, who is amazing, and the whole drama was really, really like blew me away. But her as a character, that's one I'm gonna remember for like the next 10 years. She was just she was so broken, and you could tell that she didn't believe she deserved anything good. And she didn't believe that she was capable of anything good. And like the drama is like she's really revenge focused. The whole her entire character trajectory is like revenge. She needs revenge. That she lives for that. And the reason that she needs that revenge is just so she can sleep at night. Anyway, she's amazing. Watch her.
Oh, guys, before we talk about the next one, Kim Jae-kyung, Veronica Park from The Secret Life of My Secretary. She was so amazing. She again a very unexpected character that who we thought was going to be a catty sort of shallow second lead who's in love with the male lead or something like that. And no, she turned out to be a woman with a life of her own, opinions of her own, and very willing to take forward her own romance on her own terms, and also really intelligent. She was just super fun to watch, and I ended up rooting more for her than for the main pair at one point. So yeah, she was very memorable
And hilarious. Also very, very funny.
I think she got some of the best lines in the drama.
Yes. Okay, so the next one is Puppy of the Year, which I wrote in the doc in caps, EJ Wook, fight me.
I tried to fight and I failed.
Well, Parma's on my side. Okay, look, Yoo Sung-ho has had many, many years to be a puppy. He's had his time. He needs to let the younger ones come in and have their chance. And I just want to say about EJ Wook, this boy, this child, debuted in Memories of the Alhambra. He did 3 dramas this year. He was amazing in all of them. I went to adopt him. Like, what else can I say? When he's on screen, he like sucks all the charisma and like nobody else is visible, in my opinion. Like he has this quality to him that I can't put into words.
In Yoo Sung-ho's defense, he has been a puppy only for about a year and a half. He was not a puppy before that. He was a sad crown prince.
He was a sad puppy. Oh my god.
No, he was a sad crown prince. And now he has finally discovered his calling as a puppy, and it deserves recognition.
Okay, we talked about him a lot last year. So.
You know, I'm just afraid right now because EJ Wook can be really intense on screen, that he's going to get more and more really intense characters
like
to play.
typecast.
Yeah, he would get a bit typecast, and I hope that doesn't happen. One thing I really liked about some of the interviews he did outside, and when they were shooting Extraordinary You, if you watch the behind the scenes, I mean, he is so adorable. And he's friendly with everyone, and he's taking pictures of the crew, and he's just like generally just bouncing around the set, and everybody's like, and you had what was the main boy's the Haru, what was the actor's name?
Rowoon.
Rowoon, yeah. You had Rowoon come and kind of like treat him like like a Dongseng, and I think Rowoon is a couple of years older than him, and they had like that entire Hyung Dongseng relationship going, and I was like, so cute. It's just he is a puppy. And also I love what a really great relationship he has with Irahi, and it's which brings us to our next category, which is the Sparkiest chemistry. And like, we don't exactly have a winner in this category because like there are we just don't. Okay, so I'll list
They're all winners.
They're all winners.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll list the potentials, but I'll just start with Idahi and EJ Wook, who were just had given me such unexpected joy with their relationship. It just went in. I did not expect it to develop the way it did. It started off pretty late in the drama, but it sucked me in so well anyway. Both of them were puppies in the relationship. It was just
this is true.
It was completely adorable. And just behind the scenes, Idahi was kind of like acting as a mentor to EJ Wook, and they have a really strong bond. So it is just, like super cute. And the next one, of course, predictably, is Park Min Young and Kim Jae Wook from Her Private Life, because I didn't do that right. Okay. And after that, you have Jo Boa and Yoo Sung Ho. Saya, do you want to say more?
I feel like we have said everything that needs to be said, but
right. Deep sigh.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then we have Kim Yong Kwang and Jin Ki-ju from Secret Life of My Secretary, who were again another surprise relationship that I thought would be really predictable, but turned out to be deeper, and like the bond turned out to be better. usually these relationships where there is a deep secret that one partner is keeping from the other, and somebody feels betrayed, it doesn't really work for me. But these two were just so good together as a pair, that was kind of propelled it forward.
Yes, 100%.
And so that is our list, and we don't have any winners. They, like Saya said, they're all winners in our
Although,
eyes
actually,
and hearts.
I have to say, there is one more I would put in here for a first half thing, even
Okay.
for a second half thing. Surprisingly, Shin Hye-sun and Elle in Angel's Last Mission, they were actually a really. I thought they had good chemistry, and they were.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about them for a bit, but then I was like, no, Saya might like just, I don't know, cudgel me with something.
No, that was great, but everything else was trash, which takes us to our next category, which is the biggest waste of talent, which Angel's Last Mission is one of our nominees. Also on that list is Melting Me Softly and Catch the Ghost. I mean, they were all very wasteful, but I think the most wasteful of all is... I watched all of these. Did you guys watch any of these to the end?
I watched Angel's Last Mission. Like, I just kind of fast
To the
forwarded
end?
through the... Yeah,
Oh,
but I
right,
fast
okay.
forwarded through the end, last few.
Oh no, I only watched 12 episodes of that.
Yeah, so I had made it to 12, and then I just paused for whatever reason, and then thought, well, it's only 4 episodes, and I need to know how they resolve all of those things, and how do they get to be together. And so I started watching it, and then like I was just hitting my speed button and getting, faster and faster until I was at like 2.5 speed, and that's how I watched the last 4 episodes. And it was not a worthy use of time or life. But it was still not the biggest waste. The biggest waste was Melting Me Softly, which was such a waste of Ji Chang-wook, such a waste of Won Jin-ah, such a waste of drama budget, and such a waste of my life.
I think that sums it up perfectly. Did you want to mention the last one?
Well, Catch the Ghost, actually, it was more of a most disappointing first half, and then it kind of made a bit of a save in the second half, which takes us to...
most disappointing second half. So the one that won this category is actually one that I didn't watch, but I heard enough from you guys that I, 100%, I'm fine with this vote, which is Memories of the Alhambra.
Because it's that thing where the more you love it, the more you are let down by it being bad.
Yeah.
Because it was so good, and then it was so bad.
Agreed.
Yeah, and this is the same reason that I put Her Private Life on this list, because I loved it so much in the first half. And the second half, the ending just made me so angry.
I feel you, but I'm glad I didn't feel that way, because otherwise I would have hated that drama the way I hated Pretty Nuna.
Yeah, same here. I mean, Memories of the Alhambra is just kind of scarred me in the way it kind of derailed, but so much potential. Ugh.
And it's sort of, it kept it good until at least it got to 12 episodes, and then you're like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
And then it sort of tied itself into a knot it couldn't undo, and Park Shin-hye was furniture.
Such a waste of her.
Such a waste.
It just
sad. I mean, you could have cast anybody. You could have cast nobody. It would have been the same. But it did make me stop hating Hyunbin, so that's well done, show. Which takes us to my favourite category. I sneaked this one in as we had already put together the list, and I was just reading through it, and then I thought, we need this one. So the next category is for what was rubbish all the way through, and because this drama has not been on any other lists, and it really needs to be. So, rubbish all the way through. Abyss. This was not good from the beginning, and it was not good in the middle, and it was not good in the end. And it was not good at any point in between those. And yet, somebody watched it all the way to the end. Why? Nobody knows. Somebody save this girl from herself. Why did I watch so many trash dramas? I think it's because I had discovered the speed function. So it's that's okay. It's not going to take me an hour to watch an hour. I can watch it in 55 minutes or 30.
But in the end, it's really still a bad investment.
Yeah, basically. Somebody save me.
So I have a question. If you're watching it at that speed, are you still listening to what they're saying, or are you just like reading the subs really fast?
Oh, I'm reading the subs.
Okay.
And sometimes you're like, I'm not sure if I'm even saving time because sometimes it's going so fast I have to rewind it.
I mean, I think the fastest that I've watched something is at 1.25, and at that speed you can still watch and listen, but the music just sounds a little
Yeah,
off.
you actually
Yeah.
But
can.
otherwise, it seems normal.
Even up to sort of 2.0 speed, you can make it out. I am listening. I actually can't watch if I can't hear it because I need to know what they're actually saying. So
Yeah.
it's actually pretty comprehensible even at 2.5. It's not enjoyable, but it is comprehensible.
Did you guys know that Netflix was bringing that, like the fast forward viewing
I have
experience?
heard about
And like
this.
directors
Yeah.
are mad about it. They're like, you're messing with our art.
People will watch more shows. You want them to
Of
watch more shows or
course.
not? So give them this is actually why well, maybe we shouldn't talk about this, but but like YouTube, you can speed stuff up, but like on
Yeah.
Viki or Netflix, you can't do that, and that actually I find that really annoying.
But I also understand why, as the creator of something, you would want people to watch it in the speed that you
Sure,
created
but
it.
when
I get
when
that.
you get to the point where it's in the consumer's hand, it's not really up to the creator anymore. It's like saying, should I read a book in one sitting, or should I skim it, or should I read a chapter a day? Like, that's up to me. Let me watch it how
Yeah.
it works for me.
True.
But I get it, but it's just everyone has different needs. We can't always follow
is
the
true.
creator's vision. Otherwise, I would have had to spend 16 hours on Melting Me Softly.
Or you could just not watch it.
Yeah, but sometimes
But
you
also,
just want to know
like-
what happens in the end. Okay, sorry, carry on.
No, I mean, my mom likes to listen to podcasts like sped up, and I've like banned her from listening to our podcast sped up.
Yeah, because if
I mean-
you speed me up, I'm not sure if I'd be
Exactly.
comprehensible anymore.
Yeah.
'Cause I listen-
No, like it's funny because if like listening to your voice sped up is like it's an experience.
I listen to our podcasts, at times, and when I hear myself, I'm like, "Did you speed me up?" Because I don't know why I sound.
You asked me that once. You asked me, Paroma, do you
I
speed
think
my
I've
section
asked you
up?
several times because it's like I'm on speed. Like, what is this? She's going at 2.5 speed. Nobody speaks that fast, but except apparently I do. I don't know how.
You're doing it now.
Yeah. It's interesting to me that you don't perceive yourself as speaking that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. You and Paroma sound really sort of eloquent and elegant, and there's me like I'm blah 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 blah. Like, I don't know what I'm saying. Nobody knows what I'm saying. None of it matters. Like, what? Slow down.
Okay.
Okay. The next category.
This one's a good one. So this is the villain we love to hate, and the winner is. We didn't actually have any other contenders for this either. I think she just. Park Hoo-jae from My Fellow Citizens, played by Kim Min-jung, just won this one hands down. She was great. She was like,
Yeah.
was she even a villain? I enjoyed her from the beginning, and I loved her from the beginning. She was like a villain who really tried to be bad, and then she just. I mean, I don't know. Was she successful?
Yes, she is a villain. Like she
She
sends
is a
people to like
villain.
beat up and kill multiple people. So
But
I don't think.
She doesn't. She tries to, and then they end up like, I don't know, just sort of going on holiday or something. She tries very hard to be bad, but there's she's not as bad as she thinks she is.
That performance is just so tasty.
It's
really
just
so
is.
delicious.
That's the perfect word.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is most terrifying villain, and our contenders are Ye Soo-jung from Search WWW. This is the mother-in-law, the artistic mother-in-law who kind of like reminded me of a shark at times, and she was just so evil but also so perceptive, and she gave me chills, and I loved her. And then there is Bae Jong-ok from Graceful Family. She was the head of their family sort of like security system called Top, who was almost at par with the CEO of the family's company. And she was this powerful woman who was amoral and could justify her immorality. And she was power drunk, but also just really fun to watch because she's one of those rare things which is like a smart villain, and you're waiting for her to make her move because you want to see how she counters the hero, because it's always going to be like a really smart move. It's not just going to be evil, but it's going to be like, something that's actually Machiavellian. So yeah, she was fun to watch too. The next one, Sarah, you want to take that?
So my contributions to this list are two. Secret Boutique, I think, is probably the one that fits in more with like the graceful family thing. But and this was the chairwoman, the evil chairwoman who was doing everything, and she was played by Jang Mi-hee, and she was just plain evil. She wasn't like, there wasn't anything good about her or likable. She just was evil, and she had ugly hair. And I think I'm most offended by her ugly hair, because every time, like, she was on the screen, that was the thing that was the most offensive about her. Like this blunt kind of bob, but a really ugly blunt one, and I feel like they did that on purpose. Like, she looked on the outside exactly how she was on the inside, which is soulless. The other villain that I'm afraid of right now, like I'm really scared, is I'm watching Tale of Noctu again, very off schedule, and I'm like a third of the way through it, so I don't know how it goes, but he's just been revealed as, oh wait, if you get, this is kind of spoily too. Anyway, he's the second lead, and he's like sweet and wonderful for the first third, and then he reveals his evil, and he's super evil. Oh, it's scary. Like, I'm watching this one with my sister, and she's watched these episodes already, so I'm just sitting there, like, pulling her, crying, saying, "Whoa, look what he did! He killed everybody!" And we're just sitting there, both of us crying together, but, like, not crying, but going, "Whoa!"
What? I thought he was having a bromance with the hero. What has YouTube led me to believe something different?
Well, this is what it's like. It's such a big betrayal because he's meant, like, he's presented to you as this sweet, wonderful, dedicated second lead who has been in love with the heroine, Kim Seon, since her childhood.
It's a spoiler in revenge for the Shin Se-kyung one earlier that painted to you.
She's not watching this, right?
Yes, she just told me she is.
Yeah, anyway.
Okay, we're moving on.
And because, I mean, he's actually on a lot of villain lists, so if you don't already know that, then you will have in the next week or so.
Okay, so our next...
From terrifying to...
Yes. And this is definitely not a twist because it's squishiest and most heartwarming, and we have So we had a few different ones that were contenders. We had Secret Life of My Secretary and Rookie Historian because they were very heartwarming. But like unanimously, we all picked My Strange Hero for all of the reasons that we've already listed. I don't think we need to go over them again. It was very squishy. It was very happy. It made our hearts
and it was very heartwarming.
Yes, it made our hearts grow multiple sizes. We loved it.
And it made our faces split with grinning.
Yeah. Mostly Yoo Sung-ho though. From that, we go to our next weird category, which is Fish Ex Machina.
What does this even mean? I don't understand this.
I came up with this title.
Yeah. This is a category Anisa came up with just so that she could give a special honorary mention to the fish in Secret Life of My Secretary, who kind of saves the day by dying, I think.
What?
The thing is, if you watch the show, you will get this, and if you didn't, it's completely nonsensical. But it was such an enjoyable... Everything about this moment and the fandom reaction to it was just so enjoyable for me that I had to mention this as one of our moments in 2019.
I heard there was a cat in Kill It. Like a cat... Was it a cat CPR?
I don't know. There was fish CPR. No, in Secretary it was fish CPR.
But in Kill It there was something weird. I think it was a cat.
Okay.
Wasn't there also a fish in Graceful Family?
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Wow, you actually had 2 nominees for this category.
No, it's not a nominee at all. Even though it doesn't quite fit this category, there is another fish from a drama this year that I think needs mentioning, which is Picasso from Graceful Family. Another fish who died and gave us a very dramatic moment. So,
What's in the water in Dramaland?
right.
It's fishy.
It's very fishy. Okay, we need to stop making these jokes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all our listeners will stop listening.
Yeah, I think we've reached our allowed limit of bad puns for this episode, and we've exceeded it. So, on a more serious note, our next category is Badass Female Ensemble. I don't think we can choose one, so I just put Search WWW and Mellow is My Nature. Both of them were amazing in different ways, but equally incredible and unforgettable.
Yeah.
Do we have a general ensemble?
General ensemble, I think we would probably default back to your Yoo Sung-ho drama. What was that?
Oh, I was going to say Hotel del Luna.
Really?
And I would have said Rookie Historian, because the historians were just so great.
Yeah, the historians were pretty great. I actually really like that group. That's true. We do have general. Yeah.
Speaking of Rookie Historian, I'm going to be very quick. Because, like, right now, 9.9 billion One Woman is airing, and what's his name? Ijun is in that, you know, our beloved Minuan, and he's unrecognizable as a dastardly cheating husband, player, kind of bad boy. And I'm like, what happened to you, historian men? I feel very sad when I see that. But he's a great character. Anyway, moving on. This is like, what is it, best Crackjjang or just Crackjjang?
Most Crackjjang?
So it's Crackjjang with 2 J's because I combined Crackjjang that is as a portmanteau of crack and mukjang, but then like it's also then including.
Oh, I get you. That's a good one.
So it's including the word jang. Yeah.
So it's like a 3-way portmanteau. That's really good.
It is. Thank you.
Charata.
That kind of completely went over my head. I'm so sorry.
Okay, well, I'll explain it
We
later.
all know what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got the crack and the mukjang.
But you know, like, jang is like the one with 2 J's.
Oh, best.
Is like,
as in best.
Oh, so the best crack in
exactly
the best Crackjjang.
Yes.
Okay, well done.
Okay,
all right.
Now we have translated our category so that we all understand, because I didn't understand it fully either. We've got 3 contenders for this one. So we've got The Last Empress, which actually just under half of it aired last year, and it finished in February this year. We've got Secret Boutique, and we've got Graceful Family, but I think it is very fair to say that Graceful Family wins this one. Paroma.
Okay.
Because I haven't watched it.
I could go on and on about Graceful Family. I think I've already done that in our previous yak.
Which is why it wins.
Which is why it wins. Just, you know what, go to Twitter and just look up discussions around Graceful Family and see the utter just madness.
Also, everyone was watching this, so it was like, you know. And they're like 3 people watching Secret Boutique are like, watch Secret Boutique, and everyone else is like, forget you, Graceful Family.
No, I'm watching Secret Boutique, and it's a really interesting drama. I'm pretty into it right now. But the thing about Graceful Family was, I think I'd mentioned it before, this is like melodrama light, so it's never heartrending. It's never
sort of like Last Empressy, right?
It's kind of Last Empressy in that way. I think I'd compared it with that drama at the time, because there is no weight on your shoulders when you're watching this. It's one dramatic moment to another dramatic moment.
It's just having fun with itself.
And like between the dramatic moments, there's like a costume change. That's it. That's all the filler.
And the reason that Last Empress does not make the cut is because it went pants at the end. It completely lost the plot. Totally lost the plot. Like, what was that about? Anyway, I'm still angry.
I mean, it completely like blew our minds with Shin Sang-rok's character. It's just, he started out so evil, then became kind of like hilarious and cute, but still evil.
In the middle, Chejin just disappeared. Like,
Yeah,
this was meant to be about Chejin. It was not
yeah,
about him at all.
because
It was like
Shin
the
Sang-ruk
villain was
was
the
just so
hero.
good. I figure
Yeah, but it was still just it was no.
it was
I'm
weird. It
still
was just
angry with this drama.
completely weird.
It completely derailed. It was utter pants, and that was that.
That was that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
now we hop on to the next one.
I kind of want to have a category named pants now.
Maybe we should. By pants, I mean English pants, not your American pants. English
I
pants
know.
are your actual undies. Your brown and yellow Y fronts. That's how pantsy they are. You guys call them Y fronts, right?
No,
Or
we do
you
not.
Have, you don't have Y fronts? Okay.
We call them briefs
How
in the
can you
US.
not have Y
Okay,
fronts?
I thought you guys were talking about like a boyfriend, like a human boyfriend. I mean, what the hell, guys?
Y fronts. It's a type of male underwear which is really
That's a totally British.
appealing.
Yeah,
Just-
they
just
call
like
them briefs
Google.
here.
But you know, briefs are like a single piece. Y fronts, like they have a Y on the front. They're just
I
actually they're
thought,
also inexplicable to me because and I'm not a man, so I don't know how these things
why?
work. But they're weird.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing this up. Can we move on?
I did not want to know so much about briefs. I never did. Okay.
But
So
look, I made you a nice segue.
to wardrobe we want to steal. Okay, this would never be my category because
It's a fantasy of an outfit that you would enjoy rather than something that you would actually wear in real life.
okay, the first contender, yeah, I kind of agree. I would have really liked to be able to wear her clothes. That's Park Min Young. I mean, as with the drama she did before the before Private Life, which was Secretary Kim, and in this one, she's got the A-line skirt thing going. Oh my god.
Yeah, and those pantsuits.
Yeah, it's just so amazing. So yeah, everything Park Min Young wears ever on her dramas, I suppose. The
So we
next
can
one
actually talk about
is Shin Hye-sun, really? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Everything she wore in Angel's Last Mission was actually pretty.
I just remembered how amazing her
Yeah.
outfits were in that drama.
This is the good thing about being a chaebol heiress.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, she was looking great, but it's not her costume that I remember. It's just her, like her face, especially. She was just.
But she was always like immaculately styled,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that was like she
Yeah.
looked every inch the chaebol doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was such a big contrast from her like awkward wardrobe that she couldn't really manage to fit into in the
30
previous
again.
30 but
Yeah.
17, where like
Yeah.
she was like learning how to like inhabit clothes again in that, and she was like a duckling. And in this she was like so confident and so put together and so polished.
That's true. And of course, Yuna in Touch Your Heart. I mean, that's hardly a surprise. Yuna, it's like,
It's like if you have you in there, you have to dress her.
I mean,
Like,
yeah. And she is an actress in this one, which just like gives you the excuse, all the excuse, all of the excuse. So yeah,
I
they
just
use
love
her
how
well.
she's like always like 200% overdressed for every occasion, and she
So
does
true.
not give two poops. It's great.
pinker,
Yeah.
pinker.
Yeah.
And also, Im Soo Hyun from Graceful Family. It just her wardrobes weren't anything that I would want to wear. They look supremely uncomfortable in that they are gorgeously styled, but have like slits in bizarre places, and I would just like trip over everything. But yeah, she looked amazing, and that deserves a shout out.
Yeah, despite all of the amazing wardrobes in Dramaland, there is only one winner, and that is IU in Hotel de Luna.
Of course,
Man,
Hands
that
down.
woman, the moment she walked on the screen, wow.
Ooh.
I think my screen caps folder for this year is about 80% IU and her outfits. And I love the way the drama deals with it as well, because they're not even trying to hide the fact that she's wearing something different in every scene. Like there's this one point where they're about to go out to eat, and Yeo Jin-gu is like, and she's like, she says to Chansung, Yeo Jin-gu's character, hold on, and he's like, what, you need to go and change into the right outfit for eating noodles, and she's like, you know me too well. And then she comes back and she's like, don't you think that, this is perfect for that cool, breezy summer's day, and this, and it's just like, it's so great, because like, not only is it that they have like there's that sort of wink and nod about the whole wardrobe change, but also it kind of it explains styling choices as well, because I mean there is a stylist, and I don't know if you guys read this interview which I really enjoyed about are you stylist for this show, and she was like, I am happy with like everything that I was able to do with IU. I can die happy now. And it's like, it's
Nice.
so true. Like, I get you. You can. This is your, your grand work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Hotel de Luna, the next category, Saya.
This one was my idea. So it's the best Yeo Jin-gu. So the thing with Yeo Jin-gu is that he's been very busy this year. We had him in The Crowned Clown playing not one but two characters. And then he was in My Absolute Boyfriend, and then he was in Hotel de Luna. So I actually didn't watch all of these. I watched The Crowned Clown and I watched Hotel de Luna, and Paroma has a very strong reaction to one of these. So our best Yeo Jin-gu is Hotel de Luna's Gu Chen-sung, but our worst Yeo Jin-gu
is the robot from My Absolute Boyfriend.
Can you tell us why?
I had a visceral reaction to seeing this thing even on the list, because it's one of those. It's not that that Yeo Jin-gu was in any way at fault here, but the robot character was just so. It should not have
Pants?
existed. Yeah, it was pants. The drama was pants. I think we should just forget that this ever happened.
Well, it nearly never happened, so one wonders why it did happen in the end.
Yeah,
anyhow.
exactly.
I'm sure there was some behind the scenes something that caused it to happen despite everything.
Yeah. I will say though that the Crown Clown, the dramatic range of this boy is
amazing.
on full display in that drama. And it's kind, I mean, if Rookie Historian hadn't happened, Crown Clown would probably have been the standout Saguk from last year for me. And I don't usually watch Saguks much, and especially not the dramatic ones. But
No?
yeah, I
kind of thought you do.
I watch the romancy fusion ones, but not the ones where like it starts with a murder. You know?
Same. No, I'm the same way. Usually don't watch serious sagas.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I had to watch Crown Clown. I mean, I started watching it because of Yeo Jin-gu, and then I just couldn't stop because Yeo Jin-gu. So
times two.
Yeah, times two. I mean, if Hotel de Luna was IU's baby, Crown Clown was, of course, Yeo Jin-gu. So maybe that should be the best Yeo Jin-gu.
It was just the most Yeo Jin-gu. He wins that category.
All right. So the next category is most convincing fake politician who becomes a real politician. So we had.
How is this even a category?
I know. And like when I first came up with it, I was thinking of 3 dramas, and those were The Lies Within, The Great Show, and My Fellow Citizens. But then I realized later, Saya told me that in The Great Show, he is a real politician, but he's
a politician in Greek, so maybe it counts.
Okay. But anyway, I feel like it was enough for a category.
Hold on. I give you another contender, which is, of course, 60 Days. Come on.
Although I actually didn't get past the opening episodes. And then I suppose we can also say The Clown, because,
Yeah, but like if we just consider modern day politicians, then it was because 60 Days, of course, you have like this bureaucrat who's suddenly thrust into political life, and he has to either sink or swim, and the nation with him. So
did you finish the show?
I went halfway through it, but I do know how it ended because I
don't tell me though, because I am planning to watch it.
Okay, so clearly this was a category that we needed this year for 2019. So, strangely, it was a trope, and for us, I think we were pretty unanimous on
there's only one winner
on Yang Jung-guk for My Fellow Citizens. He was played by Chae Siwon. He was delightful as a con artist. He was even more delightful when he developed a conscience and became a real politician. He was funny. He was charming. He made me cry. What else is there to say? I don't know. Saya, do you have something to add?
I feel things, but I may have run out of words.
Yeah, this was definitely a very emotional pick for me as well. His journey as like a character was one of my favorite character journeys of the year.
Yeah, and the way that people were won over by him without, like, unwillingly won over, that was just, it really says so much. And because, like, this is our times now. You watch dramas, in the context of the world, the real world around you. And the political world around us right now is very sort of disillusioning and dismaying and all other words beginning with dis that don't end well. So you really, like, it means something else when you see someone like this.
Yeah. And it was idealistic, but not in a way that made it
But not
detached
saccharine.
from real life. Yeah. Or like such a fantastical idealistic fantasy that it's like you can't even relate to it. Like there was a lot of corruption and darkness and like when he first becomes a politician, he's not a genius that like all he has to do is get elected and then suddenly he's like so good. He sucks. He doesn't know anything and he has to like learn like from like ABC from the beginning.
And he doesn't even mean well, but like
no,
it's being in power and having power that changes him for the better, which is like it flips the narrative of the real world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good show. Very good show.
Yeah, definitely.
Last categories, guys. Let's do this.
Oh, okay. We are leaving K-drama land.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. Okay. So best non-Korean / Chinese drama that I finished this year.
Can I just read this the actual category so people know how funny it is? So this category is called Best Non-Korean / Chinese Drama Paroma finished. Like, this is, like, you finished it.
Yeah, because usually I just start these dramas and then I'm like, I'm watching it and I'm halfway through and I'm like, I don't want to finish it.
You're the only one qualified for this category
also,
created
that is true. This is my category and mine alone. Hey, you guys had the chance to create your own categories and you made general ones. Who told you to include me?
No, but I love it. I think it's great. It's perfect. This is your wheelhouse. Only you can do this.
I must have finished half a dozen last year, but I don't think any of those quite. Okay, anyway, the winner of this category is Unrequited Love, which is this Chinese drama about unrequited love. It does an amazing job of showing you the perspective of the person who has this one-sided quiet crush on another person, kind of like the suffering, the longing, and also self-esteem issues that might keep you silent and all of that stuff. And then later on it also goes on to show you the other side, like the perspective of the object of your affection. And what I really liked was usually these kind of stories, it's usually the other way around, like it's gender flipped. It's usually the boy pining away for the girl and I don't know, usually the way it's shown is toxic a bit. This is how you do non-toxic pining. It was a really good watch, and it's not just the main pair but the other characters were great as well. I just think, like, amongst Chinese dramas, and I know they produce historical dramas by the dozen every year, this one, amongst all contemporary fare, this one really stood out. I enjoyed so many things about it. I enjoyed the college life, the school life, the thing about growing up. It's coming of age. It's sort of trying to learning to respect yourself and understanding your own value, and that you don't have to wait for this one person to give you attention to become valuable. It's just so much and done so well. And yeah.
So how many episodes long is it?
It's not very. We had a discussion about this. Like, episode length were pretty short. So even though I think the count is like 40 or something, it's not 40
like
hours.
Half-hour episodes.
Yeah, it's like 20 hours or something.
Yeah, actually, I remember having this conversation now.
Yes.
I thought it was too short, man. I could have just kept watching this drama. I really could have.
Aww.
So you weren't the only one watching non-Korean dramas. I spent quite a lot of this year watching. I'm really ashamed of how many dramas I did complete this year, because it's a ridiculous number. But that's not even counting all of the non-Korean stuff I watched. But like there's like two standouts in everything. Like, nothing else deserves being mentioned but Dragon Prince, which is on its 3rd season. It's a Netflix original animated, and it's so good, guys. It's so epic. And if anyone ever loved Avatar: The Last Airbender, or indeed the much older and more classic Mysterious Cities of Gold, this is the thing you have to watch. It's just so well written and plotted and animated, and the characters, and it's so like modern in terms of like representation, and it's just it's so good. I can't even talk about how good it is. And there's a little glow toad who is the heroist of heroes. And
Do you
he's
have
a
to have
toad
watched
that
The Last
glows.
Airbender to
No,
watch
not at all.
this?
They're completely different stories.
Oh, okay.
They're the same creator, but
Okay.
completely different story.
I see.
And they're so easy to watch. Like, one episode is about 23 to 23 minutes. And one season is like 9 episodes.
Okay.
And it's on 3 seasons. Like, you just get through them, but like there's lots to think about, and it's just, I really love it, and it's so good. And Paroma, did you watch the latest one?
I haven't watched it, man. I just watched season 1.
You
I'm
are
still
in
saving season
for a
2.
treat. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Season 3 just like knocks it out of the park. It's so epic. Like, you're sitting there with your, like, clutching your face, going, oh, it's so epic. And there's some really great, like, like, the show is not like white. It's got everyone in there. There's not like a majority white image anywhere. Like, even when you have communities, the communities are mixed. But we meet like a completely different species, and they are so good. I'm like, I want to tell you, but I don't want to tell you, so I'm not going to tell you, but you're going to love it.
Okay. The other international show that we wanted to mention was Hassan Minhaj's Patriot Act, which, I mean, the whole world knows how amazing this show is. We all love it. We love Hassan Minhaj. It's a national pastime. It's an international pastime. He's an international treasure. Like, objectively, he's such an amazing comedian, and he's talking about such important stuff, especially for Americans. But then, like, as a Muslim American, seeing him like be up there and talking about his experience as an American, even the name of the show is such a middle finger to this legislation that came out right after 9/11 and like made our lives hell ever since. Like, it's just such an amazing experience to like know that this is in the world, and every episode is so good, and I listen to the theme song all the time.
Yeah, true.
And he talks about lotas on the stage, and it's amazing.
As you were like introducing it, I was thinking, should I? I
love it. I never skip the intro. I always listen to it.
I listen to the credits too.
I mean, you as an American, but also like those of us outside America, whether we're, Muslim or brown or just like one of those things or neither of those things, like, the comedians are the truth tellers of our times. And the fact that he can just, like, he will say the things you want someone to say, but you can't say.
Mm-hmm.
And he just says them, and you're like, thank you, God.
Yeah.
And Hassan Minhaj. Man.
I completely agree. I mean, I'm not Muslim. I'm not American. He talks a lot about his Indian heritage through his parents and how the Indian community in general treats him. But for me, he is this international figure completely. I mean, it's not that he's brown. That's why I identify with him. It's just that he is. I never thought he was like a great comedian, but as a person who speaks to power and a person who just there was an interview a while back before he started Patriot Act that he did where he was explaining our concept, and that was the first time it struck me that he's really good at explaining things. So when he started Patriot Act and I watched his first episode, I'm like, finally you're doing the thing that you were born for.
And he's such a natural storyteller as well. Like, his storytelling skill is like, it would rival the uncles.
Except he's actually good at it. He doesn't just force it on people.
Oh, like
I
like
agree.
because my dad is such a great storyteller as well. It's like it's one of those things that you can just appreciate. Like I'm not in any way a storyteller. I'm just like, yeah, and then I can't remember what happened. So to see someone who actually has that raw, pure talent, which in a different time would have him, like, at the center of a circle where everyone is sort of raptly listening to him with a bonfire in the middle, that kind of thing. It's
Yeah,
just, like the skill is amazing to see.
Yeah.
great. So, what else were you guys watching?
So there's one more thing that I feel like we cannot leave the year without mentioning, and I think we've mentioned at various times in various yaks about J Kim, who has a channel on YouTube, and he does these videos. Initially, he's a musician, right? And then he started doing videos about Muslims and Islam in Korea, and so this year we followed him on his journey of learning more about Islam and meeting Muslims, and that like came to this I can't even heart-bursting climax.
Yeah. Like he started out, be thinking like, oh, Muslims are kind of weird. Why do they do those weird things? And then he started like going to traveling to like Malaysia and stuff. And then he came back home to Korea and he started interviewing like women who wore hijab and Muslims who didn't wear hijab, but just like Muslims in general. And then he like decided to fast all of Ramadan just to see if he could do it. And then like he went and he finished. He like did the whole thing. I was like, wow, you
Yeah.
wow. And then he, like we just saw him and then he started to like really, at a certain point, start to take it
Like
really
you could
seriously.
see that
Like,
change in him, and it was just
yeah.
like you just watching it and crying because it was just so pure.
It was
And
really
yeah,
an amazing experience to just watch somebody's spiritual
yeah,
journey, especially considering how open and honest and sincere he was, and how like he just kind of invited people into his spiritual journey in a really beautiful way. I definitely cried multiple times watching his stuff.
yes.
Yeah. It was a long journey of sweetness in a year that's been really dark in a lot of ways. So I think we needed to see that. And we're grateful for him to him for sharing it with us.
I feel like I need to say something profound, but it's not coming to me.
So, guys, everybody listening, thank you so much for listening to us for however long you've been listening to us. Thank you for being part of our lives. This conversation that is often just we try to stick to this list of things, but it often gets derailed randomly. And I'm not sure why this conversation is interesting to anybody but us, but apparently it is.
Maybe it's not, and we shouldn't tempt fate by asking them.
Yeah, actually, why am I even saying this? Thank you guys for listening to us, for ending this year with us, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you interesting episodes for many, many, many months, maybe.
I like how we're not committing to years. There's a couple of yaks left in us.
There are still, yeah. I mean, it's been a hard year, but it's because you guys are with us and because these two are with me that we can keep doing this month after month. And yeah, it just, guys.
I feel very emotional.
Hey, you really cried.
No, I just feel squishy.
Yeah, what Paroma said. Just thank you everybody who's stayed with us, and especially those of you who have been with us from the beginning or nearly the beginning. Especially to Anissa's mum, who we thought was going to be our only listener. Like we started this and we knew we had one listener, and it
For
was
sure.
Anissa's mum. Yeah, and we're like, forget everyone else. We've got one listener. That's enough. I do not commit to things long term because my life is not predictable that way. The fact that we have come 2.5 years is kind of mind-blowing to me. So I guess that's as far as I can take it. And I'm sorry to say, everyone, that this was my last podcast.
Oh,
Yo.
Yeah, no, don't worry, I'm coming back. At least for a couple more. We'll play it by ear on that.
Okay. Thank you, Saya,
Yeah.
for your compulsory dad joke of the yak.
I think we should just call them bad jokes.
Yeah, they really are. This one was funny to no one but you.
I thought this was a very fine one of my best. If I had not ruined it by laughing too soon. That's my problem. This is why I will not be Hassan Minhaj. Because I laugh in the wrong places, and yeah. I don't have a beard.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just want to echo everything that both of you said. It's been a hard year, but also a really amazing year. And it's really very exciting to see people, like, to see some of the numbers of how many people are listening, even though, like, as we know, podcast stats are very inaccurate, but we can get, like, sort of a sense. We love getting your emails and your comments and interacting with you on Twitter. And it's just, like, really, really upgraded the fandom experience that was already pretty great. So I think the K-drama fandom is one of the best fandoms out there, and it's really an honor to have been on this journey with all of you listeners.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, like we're coming to the end of the year, but we're also coming to the end of the decade. So I came up with this idea and I sort of dragged Saya and Paroma with me and made them do all kinds of extra work, but we came up with this sort of retrospective on the 2010s of K-drama. So check that out on our blog. It's just sort of some top 10 lists, some themes, some interesting tropes that we loved this decade. It should be a fun read. So and send us your thoughts about what you loved most in the 2010s, because we'd love to hear your answers.
And if you're a newcomer to K-dramas, especially check it out for what's, you know, really been unmissable in the last decade. That it can be hard when you're looking backwards to pick what to watch and that kind of thing. But I think we've got a pretty good list, and it's comprehensive, I think. It's highly subjective, but we're confident, kind of, maybe. and for veterans who've really been in the game for who knows how long, forever, or half of forever, or whatever. If you've got any suggestions that we didn't make it into our list, either because we haven't watched it or we don't know about it, or because, you know, perhaps we didn't like it, do tell us what we've missed out and what should be there, or your own personal bests. We're like, we always want to know what's the best out there.
Yeah.
But before we finish, we've thanked everybody else, but I feel like I really need to thank you guys too, because you guys put so much work into making this happen. I turn up and talk, and not even coherently at that, but like, you know, Paroma, the hours you have sunk into editing, like many hours, and
Yes.
Anissa being so organized and working out schedules and keeping us on track and just being very efficient, like Secretary Kim. You know, you guys.
I still don't have her outfit.
Well, maybe you'll get that upgrade in 2020. Who knows? The next decade can bring anything, and let's pray it brings something good, like a decent wardrobe, but better things than that also.
Yeah.
So thank you guys too.
Right back at you. You both are so special in my life, and I feel like, I don't know, it feels like we've known each other forever, even though it hasn't actually been that long.
It has
and
been.
I don't think, yeah. I don't think I could have taken this journey with anyone other than you two. So thank you both for being the special people that you are. I love you.
I'm holding up finger hearts in front of my mic because this is the closest I can get to saying those words.
I appreciate it.
I love you guys too.
Aww. Okay. All right, now I'm really gonna cry, so we have to say goodbye.
On that note, let's, end the last podcast of this year.
Kaja!
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.